be aware that the currency, the dollar, the pound, the euro in your pocket is getting trashed along the way. And if you don't protect your savings, you're going to wake up one day and realize that you've got nothing, especially if you're keeping a lot of your savings in fiat currency. Tuesday, August 13th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Well, we're going to look at a couple of things. They're both related, and it's gold and also August 15th, 1971. Only a couple of days away from the 53rd anniversary. And we're going to see what it has meant for the dollar, not just for the dollar, but all other fiat currencies in the world. Yes, it was called the new dollar. I would argue it's it's become the mini dollar, and you will see why. And we're going to look at why gold is signaling trouble ahead for the financial and banking system, not only in the United States, but all around the world. I see that China is having their own banking problems as well. And we're going to look at some charts, some statistics from 30,000 feet, so to speak, from above, the bigger picture, because we get too bogged down in day-to-day moves in markets. And we also get heavily distracted by world events, political events, social events, that we forget that the currencies we're using are fast approaching, well, worthlessness. That's the conclusion I get from looking at things. And I've been warning people as well for almost 20 years. Before we delve deeper into these topics, just wanted to say it's getting more and more expensive, of course, to buy gold. Silver, on the other hand, is still fairly affordable. So I think if you haven't been able to get into the precious metals to protect your savings, be it in the US, UK, or anywhere, think about silver. Think about Miles Franklin, one of my affiliates in the US. This week they've got specials on 1 ounce silver Austrian Philharmonics. If you want to get in touch with them in the US, you can call 1-800-822-8080, or you can email info@milesfranklin.com and mention Monaco 64 or Mario. Here in the UK, of course, I'm sure Oliver and Simon Tempo at Gold Investments will be able to find you some good deals, not just for silver, but for gold as well. And yes, in the UK, there is VAT on silver, but I don't think we'll be worrying about that in a few years' time when silver has gone through the roof. It doesn't make too much difference. I remember when I first bought silver in 2003, I was a bit concerned about the VAT, but you shouldn't let it stop you from acquiring silver, because it's still heavily undervalued. And if you can't afford gold, go for silver. So back to what's going on in the world. Well, I saw that Elon Musk had a conversation with President Trump on X. I thought about staying up to listen to it, but it started at 1 a.m. London time. It was a bit too much for me. Hopefully, I'll be able to listen to it later. But I noticed a couple of things that went on there, and I haven't found the tweet or the post, but apparently President Trump said that oil caused inflation. But then you have here someone that was listening, Natalie Denelishon, She said inflation is caused by government overspending. And I agree 100% with her. Government overspending and the central bank making that possible by adding reserves out of thin air and buying those bonds, i.e. QE or money printing. And it's interesting that actually Elon Musk replied to this young woman, and he said the government is the one increasing the money supply. That's right, with the help of the Federal Reserve. And then there's someone here who got in on the conversation, and he said, wish Elon would say, we should end the Federal Reserve. So there you go. At least people are starting to talk about this, which is a good thing. I've been warning people about this since 2002. And why? How did I wake up to this? Well, despite having started my career in the city of London, or actually Geneva, Switzerland, and then coming to the city of London in 1992 and dealing with money in my career, I didn't understand what money really was until I started reading about the Austrian School of Economics in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then when I bought my first gold coins in 2002, I really went down the rabbit hole, and I could see right away that there is a problem with having central banks and having fiat currencies. And fiat currencies. So as we approach August 15th, which is only a couple of days away, that will be a date, well, that already is a date that will be remembered forever, really, in monetary history, because it was when the last link to gold was severed by the United States, by President Nixon, when he temporarily suspended the convertibility of the American currency into gold or money on August 15th, 1971, temporarily. And here we are today, and it's still been suspended. Yes, you can exchange your fiat dollars or fiat pounds for gold, but it's not at a fixed rate. And why is a fixed rate so important? Well, because a fixed rate means that governments and bankers have to be disciplined. They can't just lend out irresponsibly currency or money out of thin air. There has to be some kind of ratio with gold, with real money or silver. And that's why ever since 1971, when that discipline was removed, and it was also removed in the early 30s, so it's been, and during World War I, so it's been a gradual process, but what we've been experiencing since 1971 is not normal. And is it any wonder we have so many, not just economic, financial problems, but also social, geopolitical, political, domestic problems? No, because the money and the currency has become really an I owe you nothing, as John Exter once said, a former employee of the New York Federal Reserve. So I said earlier that we need to look at things from 30,000 feet, a bird's eye view, a bigger picture. So what I've done here is look at what the dollar has done versus money or gold since 1971. And many, of course, say that the dollar is the king. The dollar is the most important currency. Maybe for transactions and pricing things, it is. But in terms of the store value, it's just like any other currency. And there are some that have done actually a lot better than the dollar since 1971. So we're going to look at that right now. We're going to start with the Swiss franc, which is known as a safe haven fiat currency. But even the Swiss franc has not been doing very well since 1971. And as you can see here from fxtop.com, and I'm going to put a link to this website below in the description, and you can play around with all the rates, exchange rates here. You just need to click on historical rates. And notice how I've put Swiss franc first and then gold second, and it is gold grams. So what that means, it measures the Swiss franc, how many grams of gold the Swiss franc can get. So you don't put the gold first, you put the currency, the fiat currency first. And as you can see here, since that fateful day in 1971, the Swiss franc is down 92% versus gold. So not a very good performance. But if we move to the US dollar and do the same exercise, the US dollar has dropped 98% versus gold. So in terms of store value, the US dollar has not been king. And there are a lot of other currencies that have outperformed the dollar since 1971. Like you can go back and look at the Deutschmark, and it can be extrapolated to today because there's a fixed rate versus the euro. That has outperformed. The Dutch guilder has outperformed. The French franc, for example, I think is equaled. The dollar is down 98%. Even the yen has outperformed the dollar because the Japanese yen has fallen 96% versus gold since 1971. And interestingly, we are talking a lot about the yen right now, how the yen was really collapsing versus the dollar until recently. The dollar got up to 161. But if you look at the dollar versus the yen since 1971, well, the dollar is down 59%. So that's why it's important for us to look at the bigger picture. But one of the common denominators of all these interesting charts and performances since 1971 is that all these fiat currencies are down at least 96 or at least 92%, starting with the Swiss franc, the British pound. While we're down 99%, the British pound since 1971. So I said as well that gold is pointing to financial and banking problems for the whole world right now. Yeah, I know it has been performing really well since August of 1971, but 2024, I think, is a year where it's a sea change for gold, not just in dollars, but for all other currencies. And I'll tell you why. And this is, as of the close of yesterday, gold might have changed this morning, August 13th, but it won't really change these numbers too much. So what we're seeing now year to date, and this is significant because gold since the year 2000 has gone up on average about 9.5–10% versus all the major currencies. But year to date until yesterday, gold is up 25% in terms of Japanese yen. It's up 23% in terms of the Swiss franc. It's up 21% in terms of the euro. It's up 19.5% in terms of the British pound. It's up 19.8% in terms of the dollar, the US dollar. It's up 24.2% in terms of the Canadian dollar, 18% in terms of the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar. Gold is up almost 26%. And versus the Chinese yuan, gold is up 21%. So this is pointing to me to the fact that this is not a matter of dollar strength or yen weakness or anything really. It's a matter of fiat currency weakness. And the fact that we've gone up so much already and we're not even at the end of August, I think is pointing to the fact that things could accelerate in terms of the inflation. And what is inflation? Well, it's very simple. I spoke about it yesterday, but I also tweeted later on yesterday because I didn't use US money supply figures. And you can do this yourself. You can go back and look at charts like of money supply, of the debt, and all other indicators going back to, let's say, the mid 1960s, and you'll see that a lot of charts take off around the early 70s and mid 70s. And why is that? Well, because of that, because of August 15th, when the American currency was detached from anything of value. But as you can see here, there, even I have touched upon the deflation story, that we could have a deflationary collapse, and that is possible, but I'm not too sure. I'm leaning more towards hyperinflation because, as you can see here, I've calculated from the US stat clock, you can go back, that US GDP is up about 22.4% in the last 4 years. But M1, on the other hand, is up 355%. So yes, the economy has grown relatively well. We know the data can be tinkered with, but let's give Mr. Biden and Ms. Harris the benefit of the doubt. But even if the economy was growing by 30%, the money supply is overwhelming the growth of the economy. And that is why the dollar is losing purchasing power. And that is dollar debasement, and that is inflation. That's what's happening, guys. And it's good to see that maybe Elon Musk is waking up to what inflation really is. It's not the increase in the price of oil, President Trump. And I just want to emphasize that, yes, there are a lot of distractions out there, and I get distracted. There's rumors of war, riots, protests, elections, new governments, everything out there. But yeah, I'm not saying don't look at those things, but be aware that the currency, the dollar, the pound, the euro, in your pocket is getting trashed along the way. And if you don't protect your savings, you're going to wake up one day and realize that you've got nothing, especially if you're keeping a lot of your savings in fiat currency. I see the markets are fairly steady this morning. We've come off a little bit in gold. We're within a stone throws away from the all-time high in the spot price at 2,483, I think. We got up to 2,477 this morning, and it's 8:35 a.m. London time right now. Well, we have corrected a little bit right now. We are at 2465. As I said, this is just short-term noise. Think about the bigger picture and what 1971 really meant to the whole system. And I think we're closer and closer to some kind of major crisis 53 years later. And if anything, the new dollar is really disappearing. It's like tiny right now. It's only worth 2% of what it was back in 1971. What about silver? Well, silver is still underperforming gold, but I think once it takes off, it's gonna catch up, do a lot of catching up. So it's still a good time to buy, in my opinion. We're at 27.80, down about 15 cents. High's been 28.06, low 27.60. And what about the stock market? Well, a lot of the froth we're seeing in the stock market and bond markets, they're all related to this inflation, to this liquidity. Yes, of course, there are companies that have done well, But you need to do your homework and determine what you want to invest your hard-earned savings in. I mean, I've put some of mine in a small proportion into the miners. I saw that the miners did really well yesterday. I saw that Barrick had really good results and they're buying back shares. Barrick was up 9%. So that's what I'm sticking with, because I think there's still a lot of the miners and also commodities are still ignored by the general public, by the big family offices. I think gold, silver, and precious metal sector, they've only got 1% of their wealth in that sector. Commodities only about 2%. So there's a lot of room for outperformance, in my opinion, there. And bonds as well, I think they're going to do really badly. Their certificates of confiscation, they're never going to pay you. The government is never going to pay you to the right interest to compensate you for currency debasement. Do you really think the dollar is only losing 3.5 or 4.5% every year of its value? I don't think so. You just have to look at what gold is doing. And gold is the ultimate yardstick of value. And if the dollar has lost already 20% versus gold, and we're not even at the end of the year, that's telling you something. So there you go. I'm going to wish you all a great day now, and take care. Bye.